Ladies and gentlemen, it's our guy, Cole Thompson. Cole, welcome back to the program. How are you?
Jake, Asman, and the ASMANIACs. How you doing, buddy?
Did you remember us, or now that you're a big radio star in Houston, drive time?
I think about you guys
6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the iHeart station down there.
I think of you guys way more than you think of me. I think of you all the time, Jake Asman. That's why I text you basically every single day.
Well, welcome back. Cole, for those who are new to the show, is as plugged into the draft as anyone. He's covered the Texans for a long time. He's covered college football for a long time. He still does some great work on SEC Unfiltered, on YouTube and podcast, talking college ball. And you're an Alabama alum, so I can't wait to talk to you about Ty Simpson, who has been a hot topic among Jet fans debating whether or not the Jets should take him. But let me start with this. There's a report from ESPN today that the Jets are leaning towards drafting Arvell Reese with the second overall pick. If you look at the betting markets, that backs up the Arvell Reese conversation there as well. Let's start with just Reese as a prospect. Give us your thoughts, your breakdown on him and the fact that he is such a big favorite right now to go number 2.
Yeah, he is, in my opinion, one of the bigger boomer busts that is very much a high volume player that I think could be a game changer. I really do love the tape of Arvell Reese. Now, the thing that you got to realize is he is a tweener, and you don't really know what is going to be his home until you get him acclimated with the defense and how you want to use him properly. But he does everything at a high-end rate. I mean, he is a great pass rusher, and he wins a lot of one-on-one battles with physicality and with a lot of hand placement to the outside that is able to kind of throw offensive linemen off of their pathway. I think that he's a very good run defender. He is a solid playmaker that wins the line of scrimmage and is able to go ahead and shed blocks and get in the backfield and put themselves in a position where you're losing yardage. I think that the big thing that I really like about him is that he plays both positions at a high-end level. He is somebody that can rush the edge and be a great pass rusher, and he's somebody that can be a good off-ball linebacker. And he did both those things. What I thought was really interesting is the way that Matt Patricia utilized him during his time in Columbus last year. You know, he was a pass rusher primarily at the beginning of the year, and then like middle of the season, they started to go ahead and take off his pass rushing sets and said, let's just keep him at the middle and let him make plays as an open field tackler. And I think that that's something that, you know, has been beneficial for him to be able to learn how to play more as a balanced approach of an off-ball linebacker if you want to use him properly. But the thing that you got to ask yourself is this the regime that should be using that type of pick on a player that you don't really know what you're going to utilize him as at this point? To me, as much as David Bailey, I think, is a more higher floor guy and maybe not as high as a ceiling, you know how to properly utilize him. And he is a good pass rusher, and he is probably the best situational pass rushing specialist that you have in this draft. And it's an area that you have to add in more pressure because of not only did you trade away Jermaine Johnson this offseason, but also that was an area of weakness for you a season ago. And so adding in a guy like David Bailey makes a lot more sense, but he has his own faults. He's not as elite as a run defender. And that's something that you're going to have to benefit by having a much more, I think, balanced approach when it comes to setting the interior pass rush, which is why you bring in a guy like a T'Vondre Sweat that hopefully will pick up and be a solid playmaker up the middle in this defense for Aaron Glenn. But you look at some other guys out there. To me, it's like the value is between two players. It's Arvell Reese and it's David Bailey. Those are the only two. Because I can't warrantly say, even though I do like Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs as better prospects, I can't take them with the number 2 pick. But positional value, it's not there. I think that if you were able to trade on back, that's the best play and option. But right now, that's not an option available. There's not a player, I think, worthy of trading on up that is going to be going at pick number 2 to where you can make that move. Like, it felt like last season with Travis Hunter, there was 1 or 2 teams that was willing to go ahead and pull the trigger and make that jump just 2 or 3 spots. As much as I think that you like Arvell Reese, he is going to be a project that you have to work with in time, build a good rapport, and let him kind of figure out on the fly what's a better situation for him. And David Bailey is a player who has all the upside to be a great pass rusher, but there are going to be some limitations to his games to where maybe teams are a little bit less to be able to go ahead and make that move on up. So it makes sense that Arvell Reese is going to be the pick. It makes sense that Arvell Reese working alongside with a defensive-minded coach and Aaron Glenn, maybe get the best version out of him. Me personally, just looking at where the team is, I would go with David Bailey. That's my sense.
Which is a totally fair take. I had Leger Douzable on, and he said he would take Bailey over Reese. He likes Reese, but he likes Bailey a little more. I think it's a lot more of a conversation than some Jet fans want to admit. Like, I think there's just some that say, oh, it's going to be Reese no matter what. I think Bailey does warrant the conversation. You know what he is. He's more refined as a pass rusher than Reese is, because Reese just hasn't been asked to do it as much. He's also a little older than Reese, so you have to factor that in to your evaluation. I do think the Jets end up taking Reese, but I think Bailey should be much more of a debate than it feels like we've had in this fan base of late. And just to your point on the versatility of Reese, Rich Cimini wrote a great story about this yesterday. So Reese last year at Ohio State, right, his final season, he played 238 snaps as an inside off-ball linebacker and 356 as an outside linebacker. So Glenn can use him all over the field in this defense. And then when he's asked to rush the passer, he could also do that. He had 6.5 sacks and 97 pass rushes. His measurables are incredible. He's 6'4", 241. He ran a 4.46 in the 40-yard dash. Like, there's a reason why he's thought to be the number 2 pick, because you could see a team falling in love with what they could do with him. And Glenn referenced last week at the league meetings Danielle Hunter, who you know, Cole, being in Houston covering the Texans. Danielle Hunter did not have a ton of production in college, but he got to the NFL, got with the right coaches. Now he's one of the best edge rushers in the sport. Danielle Hunter in college only had 3.5 sacks total in 3 years at LSU, but he has 114.5 sacks in 10 years in the NFL. So we have seen guys not have like the quote unquote production in college, and then they get even better when they're in the right situation when they get to the NFL.
Well, like, think about this for a second. Will Anderson Jr. is a perfect example. Like, he didn't have the team lead in sacks, pressures, or tackles for loss this past year, but teams started to realize, I can't run his way, because if he is winning his one-on-one battles so effectively, thus making an impact on the defensive front, and thus pushing the role on over to Danielle Hunter, who once again finished with top 5 in sacks, top 5 in pressures, and top 5 in tackles for losses among defensive ends. So, like, if you get a player of Arvell Reese's potential, and Arvell Reese last season, something that he did was he was so impactful of setting the edge, especially when he was an outside linebacker, that they would run plays away from him. So you then allowed the defense to really focus in on Sonny Styles making more plays, and Caleb Downs making more plays, and Caden McDonald at defensive tackle making more plays. So it's like the impact that was made by a guy like Arvell Reese wasn't in the stats, but it was in the way that you played and how you situationally built up a game plan on how to avoid running to Arvell Reese's way. So I think that that's something to where, if you're able to get that same mentality and you think that you can utilize him in the exact same way, by all means. From a standpoint of player, I think that you look at a guy like Arvell Reese and fall in love with immediately the tape, and especially the overall traits that he has, and say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bank on him having not only a higher ceiling, but somebody that I'm going to learn with for this year, and 2 or 3 seasons from now, I am going to end up being the best player in this draft class. I think David Bailey is a safer pick. And David Bailey, while he is a situational guy, because David Bailey, let's just call it as is, you're drafting him to be a pass rushing specialist. He will not be, I think, as prolific as a run defender as Arvell Reese can be. But you also know with Arvell Reese, there is going to come that potential, that tweener gap role of where I don't know if I'm going to utilize him properly. So therefore, it's going to be a problem. Where Bailey, I know I'm going to utilize him in one way, and it's going to be an immediate factor. That's really what you're deciding between.
I like Bailey again. I just feel like if you're drafting a guy at 2, you want a guy who could be like a superstar all-around player.
Sure.
And if Bailey's just a pass rusher, that's obviously valuable. The job is to get to the quarterback. But at number 2, you want a guy who could get to the quarterback and also could bring that chess piece dynamic that Reese would bring, and also you could use him as a spy. You could just do a lot of different things with him. He's already a legit, all-level linebacker, and he's got the body type like Micah Parsons did to really blossom into being this stud pass rusher as well.
I think that, again, you're looking at what is the thing that you're most interested in. Are you going after the upside, or are you going for safe and stable? Now, that's what the organization has to decide right now. Because if you're
swinging for the fence,
then you swing for Arvell Reese, and that's the smart play. Because he has a much more higher upside as a run stopper and as a pass rusher than David Bailey. He has the most upside in the class. That's what you do. But at the same time, you better, if you're moving off of Daryl Muji and you're moving off of Aaron Glenn after this season, you better get somebody who's going to come on in and have a game plan on how to utilize him properly, because you don't want to waste the number 2 overall pick.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line again. Draft party 17 days away, baby. Come and join us in Pittsburgh. Cole, you should join us, man. Take off from work and fly to Pittsburgh and join us at McFadden's.
I'm thinking about it. I haven't seen you in almost a year. So at this point, it's like I kind of have to figure out a reason to go. I want to go to Pittsburgh.
See if you could get a draft credential. Do the show live from the draft.
I say just literally go at the Comrex and just be up at Badlands. Hey, it's an extra hour of sleep for me because it's 7 a.m. I'll be good.
That's right. Love that for you. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. You're a hockey fan, which I appreciate. Even though Houston doesn't have an NHL team, they definitely should get one. You guys are going to get a women's basketball team again, though. Congrats on that. Yeah,
Comets are back. That's good. We get to face off against the Liberty every once in a while.
So this became official over the weekend. The Jets are all by themselves. The Jets now have the longest playoff drought in all 4 of the major sports. It was the Jets and the Sabres sharing the longest playoff drought. Well, the Sabres clinched the playoff spot on Saturday. So congrats to the Sabre fans. They've clinched the spot, which means the Jets are all by themselves. And one day when the Jets end their playoff drought, we all will feel like Andy Dufresne felt in Shawshank Redemption. That will be all of us. And so good job by the Sabres. And maybe one day this will be the Jets.
Does it come in 2027? Because that's what everyone's hoping for.
I think I could see it ending by 2027. I don't think it will end this year, but I could see them getting into 2027.
Is the bigger question.
I don't think he's the head coach in 2027. I don't.
Man. God, that went south so fast.
They won 3 games last year.
They won 3 games.
They started 0-7
every game. It was bad.
Well, if you ask Aaron Glenn, though, he'll tell you he definitely will be back because they signed or they traded technically for a quarterback that's leading them to the promised land. You ready for a little Geno back with the Jets?
I love that ChatGPT is creating these AI things for you because it's fantastic. How excited are you for having Geno Smith back again?
I don't hate it because, I don't really know what the alternative was. I didn't want Derek Carr necessarily. I was okay with it, maybe.
What about
I wanted Kirk. Yeah, I wanted Kirk. Apparently, Kirk either didn't want them or they didn't want Kirk. I didn't want Carson Wentz. No, thank you. Kyler was never going to choose the Jets when he had the Vikings as an option.
What about Tua?
No chance. He can't play in the cold, and you're going to put him at MetLife where he's, the wind will blow him over and he'll be out for the year.
If it's not that, he'll snap his ACL, run into the grass. Something will happen by November.
It's easy to go, they're bringing Geno back, ha ha ha. But who are they going to get that could potentially be competent if they protect him? And they can protect him. The one thing the Jets do have is a solid offensive line.
Hey, last year they made the right call by bringing in Armand Membu, who is, in my opinion, he should have been the offensive rookie of the year for how well he played.
He could have been. He's better than Will Campbell.
He is way better than Will Campbell. He was far and away awesome. He is, in my opinion. And I remember arguing with fans last year about the Tyler Warren pick and saying, what should have been the move? Tyler Warren or Armand Membu? I think everybody is content now knowing you got your bookends for the future. Even if Olaf Fashanu is not an all-pro left tackle, you got 2 good options on the outside that are on cheap-friendly contracts.
Yeah, he's solid. He's definitely worthy of the pick.
Yeah.
The biggest issue the Jets have is that the head coach needs to win games, and the general manager, I'm not saying he can just punt on the year, but I think there's a real path where he's here a year from now and the head coach isn't. So it's that fine line of you need to be better to save your job. And then there's a bunch of Jet fans who are well, we don't want to win just 6 or 7 games. What good is that? We'd rather just be awful and get the top pick. They have 3 first-round picks. You got a Texas helmet behind you. We're marching for Arch here in April. But, some members of the fan base are already there. So that's the conundrum for the Jets. It's how much better are they going to be? If they're better, you either want to be 10 wins and sneak into the playoffs and surprise everyone, or be a 3 or 4 win team one more year and then get one of the top picks.
I don't know, man. Because here's the thing. It is a good quarterback class next year. And I know we say it every single year. Wait till next year's quarterback class. It's decent. I'm not going to say it's great. I am going to say it's better than what it is this season, far and away. And it's not just in terms of what you got with Ty Simpson in the back. You got 3 guys that all could be top 3 picks next year. It's very clear that you could have options available to you. So I think that you are smart with trying to go ahead and figure out what's your game plan for this upcoming season. But whatever it is, I think that you have to have everybody on the same page. Because what do you know about a guy like Aaron Glenn? He's going to pull a Lovie Smith. He's not going to go ahead and openly lose knowing his job is on the line. So you're always going to try to go ahead and play for the win, which could put you out of position to now march for Arch. So if you're going to have the conversation of, look, we're going to bring back Daryl Muji, and as long as you guys look competitive, you get another shot, then maybe you'll play fiddle. But if you're a coach that's fighting for your job, you're going to try to win.
You gonna sneeze?
Yeah, it's coming. Okay. You're going to try to win every single game. Like that's exactly. It's like snuck on my cup. But you're going to try to win every single game because that's the game plan. Like try telling a bunch of people in a locker room, hey, lose next year because then you get to land Arch Manning. Are you going to be on the team?
No, they're not. People think, oh, the Jets are tanking. Miami's not tanking. The Jets aren't tanking. Arizona's not tanking. They're all trying to win. If the season goes up in flames, then yes, maybe at the end of the year, there could be some moves like we saw the Raiders do where they sit down a healthy Crosby, they sit down a healthy Bowers, where they're going all out to try and get the top pick. But the Jets are trying to go into the year winning games. Nothing is guaranteed for Aaron Glenn beyond this upcoming season. So they just might not be good enough because the coach is not good enough, but they're not trying to lose in April right now. They're trying to win as many games as possible.
Just promise me that next season you will not get Dante Moore. I do not believe in him whatsoever as a player. Like I'm actually like for Jets fans out there, I'm actually thankful that he is not an option available for you to pick number 2.
Well, I didn't want him because I don't believe in this coaching staff. So I'm glad he went back to school. But why don't you like him as a prospect? Because I did like him until that last game.
I think that his footwork is all over the place. I don't think his arm strength is that great. I think his decision-making still needs a ton of work. I think that he really relied heavily on a defense to bail him out of trouble. I think he had one of the most underappreciated run games in college football this past year. I mean, you had 4 guys averaging 4.5 yards a play, and he had a very good sneaky weapon in Kenyon Sadiq that was able to kind of help him tote the rock and bail him out of trouble. So I think that there is a lot of room for growth. I think that you will see other quarterbacks take another jump forward to where he won't even be in play. I think that you're looking at a guy like probably Dante Moore being a solid middle of the first round pick, not ticket number 2. And honestly, once again, you need to build a roster that is going to be competitive, that is going to be able to actually have something in place to whenever you do get your franchise quarterback or the hopeful franchise quarterback, it's not going to be him throwing all the pressure on his shoulders. I don't trust that with Dante Moore. If Dante Moore would have came on out this year, I think the game would have been too big for him. He would have crumbled in some of the biggest moments, and it would have killed his confidence to where you're once again talking about getting a quarterback that you had to hit reset on.
Ty Simpson, you're an Alabama alum, so you watch basically every Alabama game.
I've watched everyone twice.
What's the deal with Ty Simpson? Your thoughts on him as a prospect, and would he make sense for the Jets with any of their picks, including 16, 33, and 44?
If you trade back from 16 and the middle of the the first round, I can see you maybe making a play for him because there are some things that I do like. I think if you were to trade up from 33, I could see it happening. If you have him at 33, he's not going to be there at 33, but if you took him at 33.
Who's taking him if he's not? Like, I think he might make it to 33.
I think Arizona's going to potentially trade on up. I really do. I think that there could be a play of where, and this is weird to think of, but I could see a scenario where Los Angeles, the Rams, trade on down from 13 and then take him later on in the first round as a backup replacement long-term for Matthew Stafford. I could see something like that. So it's one of those things where, again, quarterback value, just having that fifth-year option is so important for teams. They will be able to take that role. You look back, like Darren Orlovsky, I think, has done a really crap job of painting a picture of who Ty Simpson is because of he's not wrong. He's just entirely wrong when it comes from the standpoint of what was the big moments. Like the first 8 games of the year, you could say that tape of Ty Simpson was on point alongside with Fernando Mendoza. Both were very accurate. Both were making complete decisive throws. Both were really on point when it came to their decision making. They were a big time reason why their offenses were so much more prolific. But by the time they got to the season's end, both offensive lines started to take a little bit of a step back. And Ty Simpson was making careless errors, especially when it came to footwork and mechanical issues, which could have dealt with partially dealing with the side issue. But there were some throws and some plays that you just really look at and go, that's not what I had seen back at the very beginning of the year. Like the reason why I viewed you as a potential Heisman finalist, as a quarterback that I could actually build my franchise around moving forward, potentially top 5 draft pick. The things that are there that are really good about his game will translate to the NFL. I just think that there is a ceiling on him. I just think that they are very much you're getting a middle tier quarterback that probably will never be better than the top 25 passer in the league. Which again, if you build a team around him, like the way that the Lions have tried to do with Jared Goff in the past of having an efficient offensive line, stable run game, and really good weapons, it can work to where you hide those flaws because of the mechanics are good. But if you don't have a team that is going to be able to build around him right now, I just don't want to take that risk. That's all it is for me.
We talked about Geno Smith, but let's dive into the comments from the coach this week about Geno leading the Jets to the promised land. Are you buying it, PK? You're usually the optimist, but I know you weren't big on bringing Geno back. Have you come around on Geno leading us to the Jet promised land, which might be a 9-8 season? I don't know what the promised land actually is.
Well, that's the thing, Jake, is that nobody knows what the promised land is. The promised land could just be like, hey, we're not running draws on 3rd and long anymore. Like, it could be anything, right? There's a wide berth for what the promised land means. I think it was probably a little bit of a thoughtless thing to say, where he was just in the moment. In some ways, I appreciate Aaron Glenn being a little bit looser in the media this year, where he's just like, you know what? Like, I really do. I care about this. I'm going to be less combative. I'm going to try to be a little bit more open with the media. And it's unfortunate that in his first kind of debut of that new personality and attitude with the media, he kind of drops something like that, where it's like, this is the Jets, dude. If you say something like that, it's picked up nationally and it's everywhere instantly. And so it's a tough gaffe. I don't think he meant much by it. I think, honestly, if you pressed me to the fire on this and you said, what does the promised land mean? I think it's the playoffs is what he was referring to. It's probably something nebulous that doesn't really have a definition, but I think he meant the playoffs. And I have come around on Geno Smith. I don't know if I believe that the Jets can be a playoff team, and it's not because of Geno Smith or not because of Geno Smith. It's just there's a lot more work to do. There's the draft to happen. There's training camp to get through without major injury. So there's a lot still that has to happen before any kind of record prediction can be made. But I have come around on Geno Smith to the big answer to the question. And this picture that you just put up is hilarious. And I'm trying desperately not to laugh.
I'm just dying at the comment from AP King, who says, you know, it's AI because there's a sellout crowd at MetLife. Well said. I mean, Meegs, what do you think is like the best case scenario for Geno Smith with Frank Reich coordinating this offense?
Ooh, probably that the offense is like average. I don't think that if you get your best outcome in offense, that automatically means the Jets are a 9-win team, because their defense could still be bad. Like, their free agents could not hit. Glenn calling the defense might not pan out in a way, because like his last year in Detroit, they were a good defense even with the injuries. But the years prior to that, they were kind of more towards the middle of the pack, and then they were bad originally when they didn't have any talent to start. So I think just having like a top 15-ish offense is probably the best outcome you can expect from Geno and Reich. But whether that translates to wins, I think it still remains to be a question, because you don't know how the other side of the ball is going to look.
I mean, what is the ceiling for the defense? I know it's likely they're going to add Reese to it at 2, let's say. Like, how much better is this defense going to be? We know it's going to be better. It can't be any worse. But like Glenn now taking over, they've gotten a lot of guys that clearly he wanted Muji to bring in. They've done that. Like, what is a reasonable expectation, Meegs, in your mind for the Jet defense?
So I think they were like bottom 4, bottom 5, just probably like improving like 10 to 12 spots. Like, can you be the 20th? Like, just like this is like an average outcome, not like the best case scenario. Like, can you be like the 21st ranked defense? And can you be like the 18th ranked offense? Because I think you have more talent on that side of the ball with the offensive line continuity, with Geno being an upgrade over just what we got from Fields, and then hopefully adding another receiver to this offense. Like, I think you have more talent on that side of the ball. Garrett being healthy, that's kind of what you're trying to projecting for both units, where like they're probably still below average, but they're really close to being average. Like, they're just not in the bottom 5.
PK, what's the ceiling for the Jet defense?
Well, I know the floor's raised, so I'll agree with you there. They did a lot. You know, I think if you look at the roster at the beginning of last season and whatever the roster will look like at the beginning of this season, I'm not sure it looks all that different, but I think they did a lot of good work in the personality department. I'll just throw that blanket over it, and you can all interpret that however you'd like to interpret it. I think they did a lot of good work in the personality department to kind of align more with what Glenn is trying to do. If you look at his previous stops as coordinator and as an assistant coach on the defensive side in New Orleans and Detroit, there was significant improvement, whether it be the position group that he coached or the defensive unit as a whole, year over year. And so you're looking for that same kind of jump. I think Meegs' goal of 10 spots is hopeful. I would say 10 to 15 is like a lofty hope, but the reality for Glenn is he needs it to be 10 or 15 spots because they were so bad.
He's
last
not
year.
going to survive.
You can't
if
really
the 25th
afford
ranked defense. Yeah,
exactly. You can't really afford it to not be 10 to 15 spots. So I think it's going to be interesting. They did, like I said, a lot of floor raising players in free agency. Now you have to go get the star. And I think where the star is on that defense, whether it be on the front seven or God forbid it's Downs or they draft a corner or they do something funky that we're not expecting, then you're going to start to like see it take shape on like how this defense can really elevate itself. Are they going to hit the quarterback a lot? Are they going to take the ball away in the secondary? And so I think there's a lot still to be told there, but I will say I think it has to be 10 to 15 spots if he wants to be here long term.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.